Hi guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. So I'm going to show you how to make a super moist chocolate cake. So firstly, you will need to add some butter to your baking tray and add some cocoa, just a little bit of it. The reason why we're adding cocoa to our baking tray is to ensure our cake does not stick when it's getting ready. So for the ingredients, you'd need the butter which you put on your baking tray. You would need a full cup of water. You would need a spoon of baking powder. You would need some salt for taste. You'd need cocoa. You would need brown sugar. You would need a full cup of cooking oil. You would need 3 eggs. Of course, you would need the flour. And let's begin. So the first thing I did, I added my flour. This is 4 cups of flour. Because you know, the flour is one of the main ingredients to make a cake. So you know, most times people actually start with their wet ingredients. But as for me, when making my cake, I start with my dry ingredients. So after that, I added my brown sugar. Then I added my baking powder. After adding my baking powder, I added my cocoa. I'm using Hershey's cocoa. Thereafter, I mixed my dry ingredients. Everything should have a consistent amount and everything should be according to how much cake you want to make. I'm making 2 cakes, so I will therefore repeat the process of doing this. Then I added my water. And then I added my cooking oil. Then I added my 3 eggs. So as you can see, these 3 ingredients I just mentioned are my wet ingredients. So you have to now start mixing your wet ingredients and your dry ingredients. This is the process of making a chocolate cake. So then I started mixing my dry ingredients and wet ingredients because at this point we're now forming our batter. So I had to ensure I mixed it thoroughly and everywhere. And thereafter, I added my butter to my baking tray. Hey, don't forget to preheat your oven to 160 degrees before you even start making your cake so that your cake can go into the oven. And this is how our cake looked like right after it was ready. So while our cake is cooling, we start by making our cream. So here I used 500 grams of room temperature butter. For those in Malaysia, I used the buttercup butter. You'd find it in any convenience store or supermarket. So I'm mixing the butter. I mixed it for about 10 minutes because I wanted it to be very fluffy. You know, you'd want that smooth cream for your cake. So for it to be very fluffy and smooth, you have to mix it for a very long time, even before you start adding your icing sugar. So you just have to keep mixing it. You know, when making the cream, you have to add your icing sugar bit by bit. And by adding bit by bit, I mean once you add some icing sugar, you mix it. You have to use a cooking stick or a baking stick to ensure that every part of your batter is getting mixed. You don't want that lump or those lumps in your batter. So you have to ensure when you mix, you have to also use your baking stick or cooking stick and mix it, so that every part of the batter is getting mixed. It will give you a very good smooth texture for your cream. You have to keep on mixing your icing sugar, and please ensure your icing sugar doesn't have any lumps. It also gives your cream a smooth texture. So make sure you use all your icing sugar when making your cream, but it should not have lumps. Keep mixing it until you feel satisfied. Thereafter, I added a teaspoon of vanilla essence. This will just give it that extra flavor, even though our cream is going to be a chocolate cream. So after you add your vanilla essence, you continue mixing. As you can see in the video, our cream is already coming out well. Fluffy, smooth, and of course, it's tasty. After I was satisfied with my texture, I now decided to add my cocoa, which will give the color and the chocolate flavor to our cream. As you can see, I used Hershey's cocoa and I added 2 spoons of Hershey's cocoa. Thereafter, I continued mixing. You have to ensure you keep mixing every part of the batter because you don't want it to remain vanilla and some of it chocolate. So you have to ensure you keep rotating your baking bowl. It has to keep going round and round and round. That way every part of the batter gets the chocolate. Thereafter, I added a teaspoon of milk. This is still the process of making the chocolate cream. Then I added 1 more teaspoon of cocoa. After adding my cocoa, we're already in the final stages of making our cream. I continued mixing it till I was satisfied. So after my cake cooled down and my icing was ready, I started adding icing to my chocolate cake. I'm using a knife because I don't have a baking spatula, but I'll get one pretty soon. I had to ensure I put icing everywhere so our cake can be very creamy. I actually forgot to take a video of everything and how I put everything together, but you can privately DM me and I'll show you how to do it when you're making your chocolate cake. But hey, make sure that your icing is everywhere. And this was our end result of our 2 cakes. I added chocolate chips on top and the sprinkles, the color sprinkles. And this is how you make a chocolate cake. Thank you.